Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here, and welcome back to The Fragrance Well. So for today's fragrances, we're going to refocus on springtime a little bit. I have 9 fragrances here today that I think really represent what I would consider to be the spirit of spring. What do I mean by that? From a perfumery perspective, or at least an olfactive perspective, I'm talking about florals, I'm talking about green, freshness, mainly those 3 things. I think every fragrance I have here encompasses that in some way. So let's go ahead and get into them. But before we do, as always, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you do like the content, and please hit that bell icon and enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. Starting it off, got one from the house of Amarud. This is going to be Silver Birch. Amarud Silver Birch. So this fragrance here really has all 3. It's fresh, it has floral aspects, it has slightly green aspects. Some of the floral notes in this given include jasmine, orange blossom, ylang ylang. There's a smoky vetiver in this. There's a note of papyrus, so there gives you that green representation. So does the vetiver in a way. And also you got like fresh spices and some orange accords or orange and fig notes helping to freshen this up, give it a little bit of liveliness. It really reminds me of walking on a wooden beach path with florals and shrubbery along the path. If you've ever been on that, you might have an idea what I'm talking about. But in my mind, this fragrance really encapsulates the spirit of spring. This is a true spring fragrance in my mind. Sure, you can wear it in other seasons and for other different reasons, but I think this one really does give a good representation of what spring could smell like. So once again, from the house of Amarud, this is Silver Birch. Moving on, next one's coming from the house of Creed. This is Green Irish Tweed. Creed Green Irish Tweed. So this one, I think it's just always going to be one that is a good representation of the springtime. Classic, timeless fragrance in my opinion. This one's more fresh and green. It has floral notes given, but I don't really see this one as a floral fragrance. Kind of reminds me of fresh cut grass in a way, but with other elements to make it a little bit more pleasant than just, fresh cut grass. You got lemon like accords in here. You got aromatics in this, quite a bit of lavender in this. You got oak moss cedar wood, giving it a little bit of a dry feel. Classic gentleman's fragrance, really great for the springtime. In my opinion, the best time to wear it in terms of a seasonality discussion, but you can pretty much wear it at any time. I think this is always going to be one that represents springtime in the form of perfumery. So once again, from the house of Creed, this is Green Irish Tweed. All right, moving on. Next one's coming from the house of 8 and Bob. This is Memoires De Mustique. 8 and Bob, Memoires De Mustique. So the inspiration for this fragrance is actually the island of Mustique. I forget exactly where it is, but in the simplest terms, it's pretty much a resort getaway island for the rich. There's just no other way to put it. But the essence of this fragrance is fresh and floral, so definitely has that going for it in terms of a true spring fragrance, and it's basically an ode to the bitter orange tree. You got petitgrain in here, you got orange blossom, you have orange flavorings in this, you got osmanthus in this, and neroli. It's basically a very heavy neroli fragrance, and I mean heavy in the sense of how strong the neroli and the other elements of the bitter orange tree are in this fragrance. I'm not saying it's a beast mode fragrance, so let me just make sure that's clear. So in short, if you're a fan of neroli in any way and you don't already have fragrances like Neroli Portofino, this might be one worth checking out. This is definitely a high quality neroli fragrance, not as well known in the overall community, but this is definitely a fragrance that really encapsulates the spirit of spring in my opinion. So once again, from the house of 8 and Bob, this is Memoires De Mustique. Next one's going to be coming from the house of Bulgari. This is going to be Wood Neroli. Bulgari Wood Neroli. Now obviously this is going to be a neroli fragrance as well, but it's a little bit different from Memoires De Mustique in that the neroli is not quite as strong in this one. This one a little bit more fresh compared to the heavy florals of Memoires De Mustique, and also this one has a little bit more woods in it. So I would say if you're someone who thinks neroli can be a little too overpowering, this one may be a better option if you still like neroli to some extent. I do know that this fragrance, at least as far as I know, it's discontinued, but you can still find this. For instance, I just double checked. It's still on fragrancebuy.ca for a really good price. So you can still find this, which is really a testament to why, if it is discontinued, that's probably why, because usually when you got a discontinued fragrance, you can't find it anymore, but you can find this one easily. But yeah, this is a slightly fresher, a little bit more woods. It's got ambroxan in it, so it's got that really likability-ness to it. So a little bit easier on the nose in terms of it being very neroli heavy, but still a great fragrance that I think really represents what spring is about. Once again, from the House of Bulgari, this is Wood Neroli. Next one's coming from the House of Etat Libre d'Orange. This is You or Someone Like You. Etat Libre d'Orange, You or Someone Like You. So for those of you who are familiar with this fragrance, you know what this fragrance is all about. This is mint. This is fresh mint with a background of what I like to describe as grass in the morning that's covered in dew. So mint and fresh grass. So therefore it's fresh and it's green. This is the most realistic mint fragrance I've got in my collection at this point, and one that really just kind of focuses on the mint and doesn't really try to combine it with anything else other than that grassy smell, which, I mean, that kind of blends with the mint already as it is. But yes, I think this is a perfect spring fragrance, or, warm weather fragrance in general, but definitely works with that idea of spring, of just being fresh and green. And, there are floral notes in this, but I think the floral notes are kind of in the background. It's not really the feature of this fragrance. So once again, from the House of Etat Libre d'Orange, this is You or Someone Like You. All right, next one's going to be coming from the House of Mancera. This is going to be Sicily. Mancera, Sicily. So what you're getting from this fragrance is, right off the top, you're gonna get fruits and citrus. It's peach combining with a lot of citrus notes, which doesn't necessarily mean spring, but why not, right? But with it, you're gonna get a lot of florals. This one is very heavy on the florals in the heart, kind of this blend of notes like jasmine and rose and some other floral accords, and at the base, it's very musky. Great fragrance for the spring weather as well as just warm weather in general. This one's very uplifting. It has that fresh aspect with that citrus and that peach and the way the florals come across. Not too heavy in my opinion. I will say this much though, you might want to be wary of this one if you're not the biggest fan of florals. This fragrance is very unisex in my opinion. It's straight up and down the middle. So the florals could be too much for you, but nevertheless, I think this is a great fragrance that really speaks to the essence of spring and how refreshing the fragrance is. Once again, from the House of Mancera, this is Sicily. Moving on, we're gonna go to the House of Zaharoff, and this is gonna be Signature Rosé. Zaharoff Signature Rosé. Now, this is obviously going to be a rose fragrance, so you're going to think floral with this one for the most part. Now, rose in and of itself, I don't think is necessarily tied to any season. It can work in all of them, but I would be remiss if I did not mention a rose fragrance when I'm talking about the essence of spring, which includes flowers blooming. And you got to go with the most popular flower in the world, at least as far as I know, which is going to be rose. So this one gives me a variety of rose, gives me a little bit of the jammy rose feel, a little bit of that lemony kind of rose as well. And also you get a little bit of like the rose stem in here. So there's a little bit of a green aspect to this fragrance as well. Mixing with all that, you got incensey notes, woody notes, some sweet accords too, to add a little bit of versatility to this scent. This is a masterful rose fragrance in my opinion. If you're a fan of rose, it's one worth checking out if you haven't already. And I can't say that it doesn't remind me of springtime with the fresh pop of rose that this fragrance is. So once again, from the House of Zaharoff, this is Signature Rosé. Next one's gonna be coming from the House of Parfums de Marly. This is gonna be Greenley. Parfums de Marly, Greenley. Now with the name, you would hope it would kind of fit into this category a little bit, but this one is fresh and it is green to my nose. Has this kind of apple-like vibe off the top, and then really for me, the rest of the fragrance is pretty much this accord of green notes, woody notes, and musky notes. Overall, this is going to be what I would consider to be the most artificial smelling out of all the fragrances I've talked about, but I don't mean that in a bad way. It just kind of has this shower gel kind of smell to it, but again, it's done very well. That's not inherently a bad thing, but I do think this is a fragrance that really shines the most in spring and does kind of capture that essence. It's bright, it's crisp, it's refreshing, it has that green aspect to it. It does make me think springtime. So once again, from the House of Parfums de Marly, this is gonna be Greenley. All right, and last but certainly not least from the house of Amouage, this is gonna be Reflection Man. Amouage Reflection Man. So another tried and true classic, if you will. White floral fragrance, for the most part, has a little bit of an orange flavoring to it, some more elements of the bitter orange tree, neroli, bitter orange leaf, a combination of pink pepper and rosemary to give it kind of this fresh spiciness. Some other florals are listed as notes in this fragrance, and it's overwhelmingly going to be fresh and floral. Like I said, more so of a focus on the white florals, very classy scent. Yes, you can wear this at any time, but the very essence of the fragrance, I think, speaks to what is great about the spring. Fresh florals, kind of uplifting vibe to it, not very heavy, not very dense, very bright and uplifting. Once again, from the house of Amouage, this is gonna be Reflection Man. All right, guys, that's it for this video. That was 9 fragrances that I think represent the spirit of the spring. Hey, let me know down in the comments below, what are some fragrances you might want to add to this list? What's a fragrance you really think just captures the spirit of spring in the form of perfumery? Looking forward to see what you guys share. Once again, thanks for watching all the way into the end. I really do appreciate you guys. Please remember to be well and smell well, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.